destinies. He recognized that the road to flourishing communities begins with nourishing individual involvement. And in empowering many, he has ensured a better future for all of us. So as we begin this new calendar year, a series of monumental anniversaries, encourage us to look back for sources of inspiration to empower us further. 60 years ago, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously in Brown versus Board of Education that state laws establishing separate public schools for black and white students were unconstitutional. In bankrupting the legal capital behind the notion of separate but equal, the Supreme Court handed the civil rights movement a rich victory. And in doing so, the highest court in the land served notice to leaders across our nation that education should be the great equalizer, the greatest equalizer of the American people. Education enables opportunity, building bridges to brighter futures over the deepest ravines of despair. And in Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s eyes, education promotes not only intelligence, but instills character, which is the bedrock of service and leadership. The historic ruling of 1954 would pave the way to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The passage of this act 5 decades ago prohibited discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, empowering all of America's sons and daughters as they had never been before. This milestone would affirm once and for all the promise and potential will no longer be bound to the cruel whims of mankind. But while ruling and laws can dismantle barriers to participation and progress, it remains necessary for us to open doors and lead others through them. In late 1964, Dr. King won the Nobel Peace Prize, a capstone for his efforts to peacefully end racial discrimination and segregation. A generation later, that prize would also be won by another towering icon of empowerment, one whom we lost just last month, Nelson Mandela. For his work to end apartheid, he was imprisoned for more than a quarter of a century, only to emerge as one of the greatest leaders of the century. Unlike lesser men, Nelson Mandela left his unjust imprisonment filled not with bitterness, but a spirit of reconciliation and forgiveness. By breathing the same air of Dr. King, his statesmanship would usher in a new era of equality and opportunity. And in empowering his nation, Nelson Mandela ultimately empowered the world. As Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela both showed, an unforgiving commitment to social progress can remove all of the obstacles in our way. Their enduring legacies compel us to ponder that if one person can change the world, imagine how much one person can change a community. While they are no longer with us, you honor their memory by serving as statesmen for your own communities. From every corner of this country, you have gathered to share insights and experiences of ways to empower local citizens and local governments. And there is no better place to do that than the campus of the University of Southern California. USC not only empowers students, USC not only empowers students through education, but also enhances its surrounding neighborhoods through several long-standing public service programs. Together, we enrich the lives of our fellow citizens, but the tasks before us are often not welcome ones. The missions we share are frequently not easy ones, yet the improvements we seek are always the necessary ones. In a signature speech titled "Facing the Challenge of a New Age," Dr. King declared, "Whatever your life's work is, do it well." He then cited the words of Morehouse College President Benjamin Mays, adding, "A man should do his job so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn could do it no better." With each passing year, you prove the work you do on behalf of the Empowerment Congress and your communities could not be done better. And for this, I commend you and wishing you a continued success. Thank you, and fight on!